Oh my God, we're live.
We're totally live now, guys. Any second.
No, it's Memorex.
Did you say
That,
it's Memorex? Like the
Memorex.
that
slogan?
joke never gets old, man. Never gets old.
Wow.
What joke?
Never mind. Okay, I'm going to play the intro music and then we're going to do a podcast. How does that sound?
Make with the casting of the pods, please.
Welcome to the Iron Sysadmin podcast, your source for IT news, commentary, and a healthy dose of paranoia. All right, folks, here we are at episode number 41, not number 42, even though Jason thought we were at 42 and he had an awesome joke. You guys are just going to have to wait.
It's
You're going to have
not.
to wait till next time.
It's not like I screwed up. I went on with the number that was in there. Somebody
Yeah.
else typoed it wrong.
Listen, you should never trust the things that I type into the show notes.
Clearly.
It's just, you should know this by now.
Live and learn.
Nate makes mistakes. Hey, you guys might notice that all three of us are finally on the same show at the same time. Woo! I don't know. I think it might have been before Christmas the last time we did this.
I can't count that high.
Full moon eclipse? Is there some lunar activity?
Total eclipse.
Maybe. It could snow.
Don't say that.
I don't see it. I hope it doesn't snow because the pool is set up and yeah. That's right. You did have a tornado up your way, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. It was
somehow. I think this is your fault.
Did your car get like flipped over or something?
It was away from us. I can't give mileage because then I kind of give away the circumference of where I could live.
Dude, you gave away your last name in the last episode. People will just find you now.
You live in a circle?
I felt like to think of it more of a sphere.
I live in a sphere. It all depends on if you think about it two-dimensionally or three-dimensionally.
Ah. Uh-oh. Okay,
what?
Anyways,
What-oh? Hey, we've had some technical difficulties leading up to tonight's episode, all because Jason decided to install a beta on his Mac. Stop me when this sounds familiar, folks. This has never happened to us before, right?
Oh, you were muted there, Jason.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I thought perhaps Nate would get upset if I screamed and yelled obscenities.
So yeah, Jason is dialed in from his phone and has video from his computer, so it's an interesting little workaround tonight. Welcome to a show full of sysadmins, right?
But he is running Mojave. Fine. He's running it before anybody else.
He's running. Oh wait, so we have to ask. You're running Mojave.
Yeah.
How is night mode?
It's the only thing I've been using since. It's like actually nice.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Have you played with the walkie-talkie feature in the what is that? WatchOS has that? The beta watch.
It wasn't a beta 1, and I don't know anybody else who has a watch that's running the beta. So no.
Your watch is also running the beta.
Look, yeah, of course. It has a walkie-talkie. I don't know if you can see it. See?
I can see it.
Can totally see it.
A fun way to talk to other Apple Watch users. And then it gives me a list of everybody in my contacts, and I have no idea who owns one. Also, nobody else I know is running the beta, so
it's still, you're getting that from the app developer, not public beta, right?
Yeah. The
nice part is it's just because you're awesome, Mr. Beta.
So the reason I'm running the watch beta is because it has the new detection stuff for exercise, which is very useful because like the
activity.
Yeah. So stupidly, after I get done working out, I tend to forget to turn the workout thing on my watch off.
Yeah.
It detected it in like under 30 seconds today. So, I didn't have 2 hours of sitting in a chair working before I went, oh yeah,
I'm not running anymore. Oops.
Oh, bummer.
So how well does that work? Because Google, even on my phone, has been doing activity detection like forever. The problem is it's not all that good at it.
I have mainly used it for detecting that I'm not being active. Although the activity detection on the phone, like it's pretty good at telling when you're being active.
Yeah. See, mine, if I'm driving like a normal civilized vehicle, it's fine. If I'm driving my Jeep, it thinks I'm riding a bicycle.
Well, stop riding a bike in your Jeep.
It's like, oh, you rode a bike at 65 miles an hour. Good job. Like, come on. I think there's enough data points here for you to figure out that I'm not actually riding a bike.
Yeah, I haven't really tried to start exercising with wearing the watch and then see if it pops up. But when it ended the exercise, it my watch buzzed and it said,
Well,
"Hey, it
that's
doesn't
handy.
look like you're working out anymore."
That's handy. So speaking of driving, I think we can move into our first news article, huh? See how I did that?
That was pretty
Smooth.
slick. Was that like a transition of some sort?
That's smooth transitions right there. That's
Nice.
what all the best podcast hosts do it that way.
Oh, okay. So I'm just waiting to see how you transition into the actual story now.
Oh, right. So there's like a story about a car, and that has to do with transportation and driving. Nothing to do with Apple Watches and exercise detection. Anyway,
Okay.
maybe you guys have heard that a Tesla employee apparently, I guess you'd call this embezzling, even though it's not money. They snuck a bunch of data out.
Oh.
Gigabytes, man. Gigabytes of data.
And what was
Doesn't this sound like not the 1990s? Gigabytes of data have been stolen.
Yeah, yes. Let's see. Dozens of confidential photos and a video of Tesla's manufacturing systems.
Huh?
Guys, this was like really, really high quality photos.
So supposedly there's customer data as well, though, because there's. So first of all, credit where credit's due. This is an article from Ars Technica. It's in the show notes. It's got a nice picture of Elon Musk talking in front of a couple microphones in the state of Nevada. Anyway.
Yeah, clearly it's a, I don't know, political thing he's doing.
Yeah. So, I guess Tesla has filed an actual lawsuit against, what's the dude's name? I wrote it down here somewhere. Tripp. His name is really, it is Tripp.
Tripp, yeah.
I didn't know people were actually named Martin Tripp. That's his last name. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, Martin Tripp. Apparently worked at Tesla since October of 2017 as a process technician. And he started exporting company data. And he's being sued for it. Imagine that. Steal from a rich man, you get sued.
Well, yeah, I mean, you'd get sued from stealing from a poor man if they can't afford it.
It's just the question of whether he succeeds, can afford the lawyer. So yeah, I guess if you're a Tesla owner, data has been stolen. Man, I just happened to look at this picture at the top of the Ars Technica article. Look at the people in the background.
Yeah, well,
look at the one guy. He's like basking in the sunshine of Elon Musk.
Yep.
Powerful stuff, man.
It's like, wow, man, the other guy looks grumpy. All right. So anyway. So yeah, there's not much else to say there.
This is why Model 3 hasn't come out yet. Let's see, sabotage.
Yes, utter total sabotage. So, have you guys heard of the game Fortnite?
Nope.
Did you say PUBG?
What?
PUBG, right?
What's PUBG?
PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds.
I know like nothing about Fortnite except that it is an enormous craze at my daughter's school.
Okay, fine. For all of the people listening, you got the joke. You understood what I was talking about. You got the original lawsuit between Epic and PUBG. Yeah, okay.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I can explain that if you really want me to.
I mean, feel free. There's not much else to this. So the article from the Hacker News basically says that people are like, hey, can I get Fortnite on Android? And to that, the answer seems to be no, because I happened to do this search myself because, again, my daughter wants to play Fortnite, and I couldn't find it. Well, people have been scouring the internet trying to find it, and they found pirated APKs, which were supposedly Fortnite, and instead were malware.
All right,
surprise!
I'm gonna go ahead and start with this. Your daughter wants to play Fortnite, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna recommend that's probably not a good idea.
Why is that?
Just saying. Uh,
Is it horrible?
well, I mean, it's it's a shooter, um,
Yeah.
and it's online,
Yeah.
and it's usually with online shooters that are this popular, a bunch of 12-year-old boys that have no filter.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So, okay.
Sure.
So, as
Yeah, I
long
mean,
as
I
you're
kind
cool
of
with that.
expected those things. No, I mean, my intention was to find it and try it out myself and see how horrible it really is. It sounds like you may already have some, like, have you
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
played it, or are you just speculating
No,
based
no.
on what
Well,
you know about games?
my children have played it and have explained to me that it is pretty much Call of Duty with a different skin.
Okay.
So Fortnite is a first-person shooter with a survival mode. I forget what the name of it. There's a specific name that they have given the play mode. Um, and according to the lawsuit from the Player Unknown Battleground people, Fortnite stole that from them, word
How
for
dare they?
word, everything.
Oh,
Like
wow.
like it's
Neat.
it's a it's a carbon copy of the game mode. So there's that going on.
Yeah,
Um,
okay. I was unaware of any of that. But that would explain why when I tried finding Fortnite on Android, I found a game called PUBG.
yeah, yeah. PUBG is like the original. I mean,
Yeah.
it's uh a battle royale is the
Yes.
type of
That
setup it
sounds
is.
right. That sounds right.
Um, you've seen the name of the book escapes me now. Um, anyway, they drop everybody into a battlefield, and
Hunger
it's every
Games.
man Hunger Games. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Hunger Games with machine guns, where everybody's dropped into the battleground in their underwear, and then you have to run and get stuff. And
Oh, that's like that game, except you're naked. Unturned?
uh, I haven't
Upturned?
played any
It's
naked games.
it's the same game except there's no underwear.
I understand your wife has been pregnant for 9 months, so we'll give you a pass this time. Um,
Hey,
we
it's
shall
very
not talk of this again.
it's very freeing.
Yeah, so this whole
Really
thing
not a
with
dirty
Android
game.
is it's just another social engineering attack.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can totally get Fortnite, this game that requires the latest GPU and a brand new rig to play on your Android phone. Okay.
Well, they have it on iPhone, right? So that doesn't mean it's impossible to play on mobile. You just have to have the right
Fortnite on
mobile.
iPhone?
Yeah.
It can't be the same game. Anyway,
Okay.
You're probably
Fortnite's supposed
right.
to be pretty decent looking, but anyway, so
Yeah, like I said, I haven't played it yet, so I don't know.
speaking of vulnerabilities, see, I can transition too.
Yes. Well, that wasn't really a vulnerability. It was just stupidity.
Okay, fine. I suck at transitions.
Things that
There's
are too
another
good to be true
story.
are generally too good to be true. Okay, I'll give you that. Vulnerability. Fine.
Now I feel vulnerable.
Quick, get on with the story.
There's a critical bug in modern web browsers, guys.
Like
Oh
all of
my
them.
goodness. Like Internet
All of
Explorer?
them.
Is that still modern?
Does it have to do with Flash?
No.
Probably not.
No.
I'm sure
Cross
Flash could be
origin.
I don't
leveraged.
think so.
Well, I mean, it's not Flash, but it's something Flash would do, I guess.
Yeah.
Cross origin requests to video and audio files, and which could apparently allow remote attackers to read the content of Gmail and Facebook, neither of which I use or have. So have fun. So typically cross-origin requests are not allowed, but apparently this bug, vulnerability, problem allows that to not be true.
Is this specifically to do? Oh, I see. It's called wave through because it has to do with audio files.
And video.
Yeah, so it looks like. So
this podcast could be
Let me-
redirecting your browser to evil.com.
sort of.
We're just,
so
we're just
so
mining coins. That's all.
Yeah,
I
right.
haven't
right.
I haven't dug really
to see
deep
here.
into this, but this reminds me, sort of reminds me of the
Domain.
at least a little bit about the DNS hijacking vulnerability from that Kaminsky found years ago, which was you'd ask for DNS for something, and it would give you that DNS, and it would also give you other information. This one's slightly different, where you're saying, I need to get this audio file, and it gives you like the header of the audio file, and then it says, cool, can I actually have the rest of the audio file? And it says, oh yeah, you can get that over from this other place.
Yeah.
And then when it tries to go to the place, of course, if you have cookies there, like all of the information for it is already readily available to the web browser.
Right.
And it says, hey, can I get all this information? And the legitimate site responds with, I've checked your cookies, you're legit, so here's all the data. And now you have a cross origin attack, and it pulls all this data in. It's like a redirect attack, I guess.
Yeah. Interesting. Except it's within a
So it's all web browsers. So delete them and
delete
you'll
all
be
the
okay.
web. Stop using the web. Go back to newsgroups and Archie and Veronica.
What about Netscape Communicator? Would that be affected?
That would be a web browser. Dustin.
No, turns out Netscape Communicator is not affected because it doesn't even know what those files are, nor can it understand any of the plugins required to read them.
No, you could totally you could stream wave files in Netscape Communicator.
Let's see. Chrome and Safari aren't really. They already have policy that says don't allow that. Firefox and Edge have already patched it. So
what about the Brave browser? Is it brave enough to be?
But unfortunately, Chrome will also take all of the audio you input and digitize it so you sound like a robot.
Yes,
like Jason.
I will be more than happy to respond to your Brave browser by doing this.
All right, I know there's a repeal of.
Sorry, Dustin, you've been put in the corner.
What? I don't know, man. We're censoring the podcast now. This is
no.
Crazy.
Podcast isn't censored. You were.
Yeah, just you, not the podcast. The podcast can say whatever it wants. Dustin on the other end.
Ready for this? Here's my transition, guys. Speaking of turning things off. Is that
good one.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Wow.
Hey, have you guys heard of OpenBSD?
No.
Yes. And the wonderful music that they release.
Have you heard what? Music?
Yeah.
Don't.
The release?
Okay.
You're about to say don't play that. Okay.
Don't
play the OpenBSD music. Okay.
So when I met Dustin, we chatted, and then I followed up with email to say hi, and he sent me the OpenBSD album.
There's an album?
Oh yeah.
I just put it in the Slack general channel for anybody who's listening.
I'm not gonna go look at that now.
Oh yeah, yeah.
OpenBSD release songs. Holy, that's awesome. Is this anything like the? Is this anything like the series of porno movies that came out of DEF CON?
I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm totally Googling it now.
Of course you are.
How did I not hear about this?
I can't. Yeah. I can't remember the names of them. They're getting harder to find. They're from like 2004.
There's apparently a porn theater? I'm confused.
I'm gonna quickly segue back into the news article that we are talking about. You've heard of Spectre, correct? And Meltdown?
Yes, all 4 variants now.
Like
4 people.
Yeah, right.
There are 4 variants of this.
There's going to be more.
Yep.
There's going to be lots more.
Yeah, because all you heard when the first one came out was the sound of a million nerds going, or a million hacker nerds going, I can attack the CPU.
You can do that now? Awesome!
All right, so do this story, and then I have a follow-up on that, too.
Okay. So OpenBSD, which touts themselves as one of the most secure out-of-the-box operating systems on the planet because, if nothing's running, you can't break a box, right? Anyway, OpenBSD has made the, I don't know, you could call it controversial call to disable hyperthreading within the default install of OpenBSD, which apparently mitigates the Spectre and Meltdown vulnerabilities because those extensions in the kernel are just turned off.
Yeah.
So
mitigates the vulnerability by disabling your ability to work on stuff.
Yeah, so they do address that in the article. So the articles from the Hacker News, I will say, this is like a Hacker News sort of night. There's 3 articles. It's almost like I rushed to find news this evening, and the Hacker News is where I went to look. But anyway, they do address system performance. The article says you might be thinking removing this optimization feature could impact performance of your system negatively, but OpenBSD doesn't think so. I'd really like to hear more about why they think that. But they say the spokesperson, what's his name?
Some dude.
Ketenis,
yes.
I'm probably butchering your name, dude. I'm very sorry. You're probably some awesome OpenBSD developer, and you're going to come find me and turn off my kernel extensions. Ketenis, whatever, believes that switching off SMTP, we should turn that off too. All the phishing attacks will stop. SMT will not have any negative effect on system performance, saying that leaving it enabled could actually slow down most compute workloads on CPUs with more than 2 physical cores. So I don't know where he gets that idea. He may know something I don't. It's very likely.
Get him on the show.
Yeah, right. I'm just going to say, hey, we butchered your name. You want to be on the show?
I think this just means that Intel's been lying to us.
Yeah, right. I am curious. I am honestly curious what sort of benefits we get from using these extensions. I know libvirt, which is the basis for much Linux virtualization, at one point didn't fully support hyperthreading. So it didn't really use it anyway. And it just meant that the hyper-threaded or virtual cores that you'd get out of your hyper-threaded CPUs were just halved, right? So if you had, say, 8 physical cores, you'd have 8 physical cores instead of the 16 that are presented to you with hyper-threading. I don't know if that's changed. I assume that it has. I don't know. You were going to say something?
No, I was agreeing with you.
Oh. So, yeah, I mean, 8 cores to 16 cores sounds awesome, but when you consider that they're virtual, I don't know how much that really gains you. I've never been a CPU architecture nerd or anything, so,
nerd.
Nerd. So now we've established I'm not a paleontologist or a CPU architecture nerd.
You're just a disappointment all the way around.
I am a disappointment all around.
That's okay, so am I.
So yeah, if you want to be invulnerable to Spectre and or Meltdown, run OpenBSD or turn off hyperthreading in your kernel. I assume that this is an option that anybody can turn off in their kernel if you want to build your own kernel from source. Can't say that.
Well, no, OpenBSD has a sysctl setting that you can turn off, but I think I imagine Linux probably has something similar.
Yeah, maybe. I'm going to turn it off everywhere and see if the entire place slows down.
Let me know how that works. And whether or not you retain your job.
Probably. Listen, I mean, after the episode about how I destroyed our Rev environment and I didn't lose my job, I mean...
I don't think that means that you can continue making mistakes.
I'm just going to keep making horrible mistakes and see how long it takes. That's probably a bad move. Yeah. Why is Nate living on the street? Well, you see, he sort of thought he was invulnerable. It didn't work out that way. Okay, so moving along.
So I added a story because we were talking about
you added
Spectre. I did. I told you I was going to talk about this.
You've broken the flow.
So but
we now have 7 news articles.
Look, I know I did. So I want to bring this in because this one's actually pretty good. There's a new variant of Spectre, variant 4.
Yes.
Which was revealed in January, I guess.
I think we talked about it on the last show.
With the one that that breaks SGX, the
No,
enclave.
I guess
Intel's
it was
enclave?
variant 3 that we were talking about.
Yes.
I'm
So
losing track.
this
There's
thing
too
called software. SGX is called software guard extensions, and it's basically a mechanism to lock down pieces of memory so that it can't be accessed by the CPU
Yeah.
or anything. And it basically creates this secure enclave type area where you store unimportant things like crypto keys and like fingerprints, that sort of stuff.
That stuff's not important. What are you talking about?
And this new Spectre variant blows that away, and you can
Oh,
just go in
man.
there and read the memory. So
That's awesome. That's just awesome.
what I think is really ironic is that SGX was apparently built to defend against sort of this exact type of thing, except in software, and
Right.
they didn't see they didn't see the hardware being attacked.
Well, no one did apparently until it happened.
Yeah,
And
and
everyone's
then
like, "Oh, how did we not look over there?" Well,
yeah,
you were
so,
kind of
whoops.
blindsided, huh?
Whoops.
Oopsie.
So, and they have a nice demo in there. It shows you how it works and everything. But
Cool.
neat stuff. Next.
So, moving back on to the next article that I actually had open. So, you guys remember the whole Marcus Hutchins getting nabbed after DEF CON last year, being held in the US and all that, and how there was just this outcry of, the FBI are grabbing another innocent hacker off the street, right?
Yeah, this is an opportunity to create new stickers. Free Marcus, I'm thinking.
Great. Yeah, sure. So,
the free Kevin
I mean,
stickers.
I'm still staying firmly on the fence here. I don't want to like back someone who may actually have done something wrong, but I also don't want to assume that the guy's guilty just because the FBI grabbed him. Because history has shown me that the FBI has a habit of sometimes grabbing people that maybe aren't guilty. Anyway, I don't want to get too political here, but their FBI is slapping new charges against researcher who stopped WannaCry. This is from Dark Reading. Poor Marcus, or good for Marcus, depending on which side of this fence you land on. But I mean, I guess the bottom line is we won't know if he's guilty or not until he is proven guilty or not. I guess I'm just going to have to maintain some faith in the system. You guys are unusually silent here.
You said we're not being political, so I'm not saying that.
No, so what I'm trying to go with here is you guys are free to have your own opinions, but I don't necessarily want the podcast to have a stance, but I want us to discuss this because it's an interesting topic, right? So he's picked up because he's at DEF CON, right? I mean, like this is like the plot of so many hacker movies, right?
Yep.
Innocent kid is picked up by the feds, or guilty person is picked up by the feds, and drama ensues.
Well,
so yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead and say that he's probably not innocent.
Right. This is a real gray area, right?
Right. So it is entirely possible that he was guilty of these charges. I haven't dug enough into this new one, although I'm seeing here that it was supposedly when he's a minor. But the other one, he apparently had a hand in writing it, and I don't know that that's necessarily. I think there's some people disputing it, but I'm not sure that he is per se. And if he wrote it and did so this is the whole this is where it gets weird because we're talking about software, we're talking about viruses. So he designed a virus or malware or whatever you want to call it, and somebody else used it for evil and broke into computers and stole stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So
well, I guess
but we have people that have built weapons, bombs, whatever, and they've used that for evil. Like, so it's one of those
Part
like
of
weird
part of
gray
what he
areas.
was accused of the first time around was distributing or attempting to distribute or sell his virus, which changes that.
I don't know. People sell guns all the time.
Guys, any technology, whether it's created for ethical purposes, for questionable purposes, it can be abused, right? I mean, that's the story of human beings and technology. I mean, I could use a toaster to, murder somebody by throwing it into the bathtub, while they're taking a bath, and also I can do good things and make toast with it, right? I mean, it's all about how technology is leveraged.
So, I mean,
in my opinion.
Your firearm analogy, I think, is flawed because firearms, yes, in their essence, they have one use, and that is to send a projectile very quickly in the direction opposite of the person firing it, which can be used most commonly to injure others, whether it's an animal or a person or a paper target downrange.
Okay, that's fair.
Bank malware. That is sort of purpose-built.
Security testing. I mean,
security.
Kind of
purple teaming.
Yeah, right. So, again, I'm not gonna say that anybody's guilty until proven so. But if
but
he
he's
really
guilty, I got it.
Well, no. So if there's a lot of ifs, right? If he wrote it and if he intended to try to sell it to make a bunch of money, I mean, that's not cool. Right? If I developed a virus that its only purpose was to kill thousands of people, and then I attempted to sell it, that'd be more akin than the handgun analogy, right? Like that makes me sound pretty terrible. Like I'm trying to wipe out human life versus I'm trying to make a firearm, right? I don't know.
People create viruses now that are used to. I mean, they're not used to wipe out life, but anyway, it's a very thorny issue.
Yeah. So,
not a lawyer.
So now I'm not a lawyer, a paleontologist, or a CPU architecture nerd. Jason, are you even catching the paleontologist reference?
I've been hearing the paleontologist. I'm sort of ignoring it, letting it play out.
You'd have to go back to a previous episode in which we were talking about dinosaurs, and I said I used to be into dinosaurs and then wasn't because obviously I'm not a paleontologist.
Oh, I thought you were going to say because of the politics with dinosaurs. You know what I mean?
Because of the politics. No, Dustin, you were on that episode. Forgotten, haven't you?
Huh?
You forgot, haven't you? You were on that episode.
Was I on that episode?
Was I on the episode?
No, because I can't remember the last time you were on the episode, man.
I do remember that. I was a little drunk. I vaguely remember it.
You might have been drunk then.
Dustin, a little drunk? Come on.
Yeah, so I mean, I want to feel for Marcus. I want to see him not be guilty. I said that the last time we talked about this. I don't want to see someone who is, by all we know about him, apparently attempting to be a security researcher with good intentions. I don't want to see him prosecuted for something that was just a stupid mistake or that he legitimately did not do. But if he did, then that changes things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I get it.
There's always three sides to every story.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like a cool guy. I'm going to say that. I've seen him on a couple podcasts since he was picked up. I want to see him be innocent. I honestly do. But, I also don't want to see him get away with something horrible because I like to see, I don't know, justice? As long as it's justice.
Batman. So if he did those things and has changed his beliefs and gone to become a security researcher because he's trying to make up for what he did in the past and because he wants to be better, does that change things?
Oh boy, now we're going into a mind F here.
No, I don't think it does. I don't think it does.
Okay.
If I shot your dog and then bought you a new dog, would you forgive me for shooting the first dog?
It
I don't
depends
know.
if it was a clone.
Did you say you were sorry for shooting my first dog? And which of the dogs was it?
I mean, like, if I walked up to your dog, just like kicked it in the chin and then gunned it down, like completely malicious, killed your dog because I hate dogs, and then I'm like, I feel really bad about that. I just bought you a different dog and expected you to think that was going to be okay. Like, would you
Nate,
would you
this
be
is like
okay
a
with
parallel of something weird, like recently.
that? Is it?
You shot a dog?
Did I kill
Justin.
someone's dog and I forgot about it?
Not me. I'm just saying, like, the flow, and not it doesn't relate to a dog, but it's interesting.
Totally not. Dustin totally didn't kill that dog.
I'm not following this, Dustin.
I'm not a
really
dog
not.
killer.
Anyway, my
Wow. I love animals.
my sense of justice and
That's what a dog killer would say.
my sense of justice says he has to pay for what he's done in the past. If he was a minor when he did it, that might change it. Because kids do stupid things. I did stupid things as a kid. I'm sure we all did stupid things as a kid.
Not Jason.
I didn't get caught
No,
for stupid
not
things
me.
when I was a kid. You didn't? You were perfect as a kid?
Yes.
It's funny.
Speaking of perfect, there's a TV show.
Your video froze. Your video froze in this perfect like position where you had this like funny look on your face, but your audio didn't because you're on the phone. Anyway,
The video is frozen.
it's not now. It's not now. It was
Anyway, moving right along.
Yeah. So we're gonna jump over those pit traps and everything.
Yeah, we're gonna jump beyond that, and we're gonna go to a galaxy far away.
We brought along our trap detecting cow.
Yes.
I don't have enough power.
Yes, the trap detecting cow. Yes. So
I don't know that anyone that listens to the podcast will get that reference, but Jason, you and I can laugh about it.
Yes, we can. In a galaxy far away, there is a TV show.
Yes. Wait, that's the wrong reference.
Yeah.
Is this like a Rick and Morty reference here?
Total wrong reference.
Look,
we're
you remember
still
what
at C-137, right?
Freaking kids.
You remember what Gandalf said. You're a wizard, Harry. So, this Star Trek TV show.
Yeah. Let's just munge all the geek culture and then talk about Star Trek. We're going to get so much hate mail over this.
I try. I'm doing my best here.
So The Verge. There's totally this Star Trek Discovery show, which I haven't even seen a single episode yet. I'm such a terrible person. I've seen every other Star Trek series on the planet and have not seen a single episode of Discovery yet.
Okay. So CBS All Access, or whatever the hell they're calling it, you can get a month free, which is more than enough time to watch the entire season of Star Trek Discovery. And then you can cancel it because do you know what others wonderful, awesome shows are on CBS All Access? There are none. It's not worth paying for.
There's none. Not a one.
Is that like paying for the NHL subscription all year after the tournament's complete?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's really nothing. They have their own subscription service, and it kind of sucks. Anyway, you can get the free subscription and watch the show, which is actually pretty decent.
I'm just going to interrupt
with it so far.
I'm going to interrupt for just a moment here and say that if you don't love hops, you should not drink Stone's Ruination.
That's really hoppy.
That is a wonderful, wonderful beer.
I still have some, actually, when I gave Jason the bottle.
The Stone IPA that I started with was pretty good. Ruination is a bit much.
Oh, it's because it ruins other hoppy beers for you.
Indeed.
Yeah, right.
Someone some Delirium Nocturnum on my side.
I'm jealous.
Just makes Dustin drool.
I want to say that our acquaintance and friend of the show, John, has told me, I think it was him, that they call it Ruination because it ruins your palate. Because of all the hops.
Yeah, hater.
John, if you're listening and I got that wrong, I'm sorry. Wow. That's a lot of hops.
Yeah, baby.
It's It's a lot of
You know
hops.
I don't even remember what the name of it is. so
Star
I don't
Trek
even-
Discovery. 5 years. I guess they have a 5-year contract, which is kind of funny. Just because of the ill-fated 5-year journey of the original Star Trek.
True. So, what's interesting about this one is it's a 5-year contract, sort of, but it's a whole bunch of different shows.
Right.
Which, does this one actually list all the different shows that they're talking about?
Yes,
It lists a few.
a few.
Okay, so you've got Discovery. They're supposed to be doing like some sort of sequel to The Next Generation or continuation of The Next Generation, in which Jean-Luc Picard is coming back.
So
That's
is quite
exciting.
interesting to me.
Yes, that's why Patrick Stewart is involved, because he's going to reprise his role as Jean-Luc
Yes.
Picard.
So, I mean, send me all the hate mail you want, folks, because I know everyone has their favorite series, but TNG was mine.
Yep. They're supposed to be doing another series based on Khan. And because they clearly did not learn the first time around, they're going to do another Star Trek animated series.
Well, the first time around was the 60s. It was a different time.
Yeah, I know. But, it's still funny.
Groovy, man.
Yeah, so there's
They-
4 or 5.
Well, I
different-
mean, if you look at animation today, it's about back to where they were in the 60s, so it's perfect timing. With the hard line drawn, two-dimensional characters, and yeah.
look, they're 1080p now, so
Yeah, they're 1080p horribly drawn characters. Except Archer. Archer is a 1080p horribly drawn animated series, which is just like hilarious. You should watch it if you
purpose.
don't.
It's
Yes,
on purpose.
it's on purpose, and it's awesome. It's awesome that way.
Archer is horrible. Archer was a
I
horrible,
was just gonna say
horrible,
that.
horrible TV
I'm not
show.
a
Horrible.
fan of it.
Horrible,
Ugh.
horrible, and awesome.
Ugh, it's a
You
horrible
forgot
show.
awesome.
Ugh.
Yeah,
I tried. I had all
I
these
did
people
too.
that were telling me how incredibly good Archer was.
Yep.
And I tried. I really, really tried. I hated it. I hated it from the first episode. And I watched
Hate it.
I just couldn't take it. And
It's
like I
hilarious.
watched about half a dozen episodes, and after realizing that I was only watching them because I was too stupid to stop watching them at that point, I figured
it's like
that was enough brain cells, and I stopped.
It's like stupidly hilarious. How could you not like it? It's just a great turn your brain off and watch this complete idiot of a spy who's actually seems to be good at something.
Because I much prefer the idiocy of a show like Rick and Morty,
Yes.
where I can actually
Same.
engage my brain watching the moronic stuff that's going on.
And it's very
Okay.
creative too. I mean, there's so many.
It's unbelievably creative. It's a great show.
It is.
And then,
I still haven't
there's
watched Rick and Morty. I'm gonna have
70 more episodes or whatever it is.
So I mean,
I'm excited.
back on topic just for a moment, and then we'll move on to the next article or video, I guess, that Jason has added to the show notes.
So will you the next article?
I have one question about Discovery. Is it in the new timeline that Abrams made, or is it following the old timeline?
It takes place 10 years before Star Trek, the original series.
So before the 60s series.
Yes.
Isn't that what Enterprise was supposed to do?
It's after Enterprise and before the original series.
Oh,
Interesting.
I didn't know that. I thought it was gonna be before Enterprise.
It is
I haven't seen
the
any of this other stuff yet.
it's during the Klingon War, the war between Starfleet and the Klingons.
So I haven't finished Enterprise yet, but I've been led to believe that it ends in sort of a way that was disappointing.
I loved Enterprise, and I've never seen the whole thing.
Really? Yeah, I'm like halfway through it. I never watched it because at the time that it was live, I was too involved in my career getting things started. I didn't have time to watch a lot of TV. I was working 3 to 11 shift and never really watched any TV. It's the same time that like Lost was on TV, and I never got to watch Lost. Right?
Good. Lost was lost for me too. Not a fan.
I went
spoilers,
back,
guys. They were all dead.
I went back, and there was a cork in the island. I went back and watched Lost,
Yes, there was.
and it was awesome until like I don't know, season 5.5 or so, and then it just went straight off a cliff.
Well, Heroes was the same way. Season 1 was like absolutely mind-bendingly incredible.
I never finished Heroes. I got
season 2 was like pretty good.
I got to season
3.
4.
Season 3, it was like, what's going on? And season 4 was so bad, I just stopped watching it.
I watched like 3 episodes into season 4 and then just like totally lost interest. But anyway,
I watched 0.
So this is based in the original Star Trek timeline, just earlier in the timeline. Okay, well, I'm actually happy about that.
The argument can be made that it doesn't matter whether you want to consider it to be the new timeline or the old timeline because it happens before the split.
Good point. Yeah, because it happens before Kirk.
Right. Now the part that I understand why. Right. I'm going to throw that out there first. I understand why it is. I understand that if the original series had been made now, it would be the same way. But the technology seems so incredibly advanced compared to the original series.
That was the same issue so like, while I wasn't watching Enterprise, my dad was. My dad's as big a Star Trek fan as I am. And he had the same complaint about Enterprise. Everything seemed too new. It's also the same problem they have with like Star Wars.
Let me explain it this way.
3 prequels and then the original 3. Everything seems newer and shinier. And that's hard to explain away in the older timeline.
Yeah, you know how in the original series, whenever they wanted to communicate, right, on the ship, the ship could always find where whoever it was they wanted to communicate with was. But in order for them to reply, they had to walk over to the wall and push a button and reply.
Yeah.
Enterprise had, if I remember correctly, Enterprise had the same thing. In order to reply, they had to go to the wall and push a button and reply.
Maybe. I don't remember.
Yeah, Discovery doesn't have that. Discovery, they can just reply.
Okay.
Interesting.
And that breaks it for me because it's like, well, how come they have that technology, but it wasn't in like the flagship of Starfleet? That's crazy.
Also makes sense.
It also makes sense.
If the ship is able to find you to tell you what the captain is telling you, then it should be able to reply as well.
Okay. But...
Or is that a broadcast? Is that all broadcasting to everywhere on the ship? And you just don't know it. That's different. Maybe that's it.
Maybe. I don't know.
Hey,
by the way, you're right. I get it.
Discovery's a good show. It's worth watching. I like it so far.
Welcome to the Iron Star Trek podcast.
That's okay. So for all of you Star Trek fans, does anybody know 2 questions? And I know this because I was there. Do you know Captain Kirk's future birth date, and do you know the birthplace?
I'm sure.
Not that much of a Star Trek nerd, but I know.
I remember hearing it at some point. I did not commit it to
There's a whole town in Iowa that has Trekfest every year.
This
specifically Riverside, Iowa. And behind
March 22nd, 2233.
Good memory, man.
Damn internet access.
What's going to happen? I wonder, is some mother going to name her child James Tiberius Kirk on that date?
In Riverside, Iowa.
In Riverside, Iowa.
Yes. And it's interesting you asked that because in Star Trek Discovery, they believe the timeline is 2255. So he would be 22. So how much further back are we going to finally learn the story of Captain Kirk?
Right. You're going to meet his mother.
Are we going to have Star Trek?
And given the way TV works nowadays, there's going to be a nice filming of his conception.
So the one thing that I will tell you about Discovery that I was a little put off by so far is that they're playing some of the, how do I put this? They're playing some of the romance stuff that you see in some of the more modern shows.
Like the newer movies. There's a lot of romance in the newer movies.
Sort of. There's just these weird out of place romancy things. Like the one roommate is like she's older, but she's like a teeny bopper, and it's like
you ageist.
It's a little grating.
Dare you?
It doesn't feel like it fits with the rest of how Starfleet is. That's all.
Yeah. Well,
But overall, it's not a bad show. I would
It is what
recommend
it is.
watching it.
I mean, it's modern TV. It's going to have to fit the mold, otherwise people aren't
I
going to
know.
watch it.
I know.
Yep. Don't disagree.
Look, get off my lawn.
Off my lawn.
Wow. All right.
Okay, so yeah, moving back into the technology realm. So yeah, Star Trek Discovery. I'm gonna have to check it out just because I'm gonna have to finish Star Trek Enterprise first, though.
Same.
That's like the. So I've seen all the other series. I haven't finished Enterprise yet, and it's like the thing that I do whenever I actually have a spare moment to watch TV. That's the series I've been going to. So
I don't think I actually finished Deep Space Nine.
How could you not? That was actually a really good series.
I don't know.
I didn't like it at first because there was no starship.
Maybe.
But, like I always called it the space soap opera because that's really what it was. But if you think about it, they all are. It's just in the other ones with the starship, they're moving through space while they're having their soap opera.
But then they got the runabout.
And they got the runabout. And then they got the Rio Grande. And then they got the other thing, the Defiant. Anyway, let's move along before we lose all the viewers.
They're nerds. They watch the stuff too. Come on.
Yeah, right. Okay,
right,
so this one's all about you, Jason. You added this. I didn't get to watch it because it's 15 minutes, and I didn't want to hold the show up 15 minutes while I watch the video.
We're gonna watch it during the show.
All right, screen share.
Right. So I'm gonna go ahead.
I could probably
do a Mystery Science Theater kind of theme.
And then I'm gonna go
comment the entire time?
Chrome, and I'm gonna screen share.
I could probably make this happen.
You hear that? Maybe we should do like a Mystery Science Theater kind of deal where we're like, hey,
so I'm gonna
screen right.
There it is. All right, here, it's already playing. See, look at this, and we're gonna scrub through it really fast. See how?
Oh, Jason, you're doing it the wrong way. You're doing it the wrong way. You gotta use the numbers on your keyboard. 1, 2, 30, 40. It's like percentages.
We can't actually hear it though.
Yeah, if you use 1 through 0.
Oh, look at that. Neat.
Yeah.
All right.
You're
so
welcome.
anyway,
you learn something new every day.
Yep. Okay. So
Captain Randomness.
If I could have got this open fast enough on my on the tablet I use as my soundboard, I could have played the audio while you were talking.
So basically, this is a YouTube video from a Google person that's presenting how Google does their production, how the production environment works, and how things get built and put into production. It kind of goes over the different tools that they use, sort of a high, 60,000 foot view of their network and how it all fits together, and their massively
there you go
scaled CI/CD process, etc. So,
Jason, did they talk about how they secure their software applications, or is this just purely infrastructure?
No, it's just infrastructure. And then at the end of it,
that was a joke. Anyways,
just infrastructure.
And at the end of it, I think part of it is that they're trying to, I don't know if they're trying to sell this book, or there's a site reliability engineering book. But the slide that he shows right before it is open source alternatives to all of the different things that they use. So their container platform is called Borg. You might know it as Kubernetes.
Yep.
They use I can't remember what all the different things are. They use a bunch of different tools like Sisyphus and Chubby and all this other stuff. And they have a list of tools that are basically open source alternatives to those. Cool. But it's informative. It's a video worth listening to, and it's cool. Sort of a really good view into how they do their CI/CD stuff.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to look this up maybe tomorrow when I have time to sit down and watch a video. When I'm supposed to be working.
Yeah, well, this is work. It's called research.
Yeah. Oh, totally,
Exactly.
Totally research. So yeah, it sounds pretty cool. I mean, if Google's doing it, it's got to be awesome, right?
Generally.
It's one way of looking at it.
All right, so I think that covers the news, huh? Unless we want to go back and talk more about Marcus or Star Trek.
So Star Trek.
Wow.
I don't know if we have any real announcements other than, hey, guys, if you want to support us on Patreon, we appreciate it. That'd be awesome. T-shirts. Iron Sysadmin T-shirts on Teespring. I know Jason didn't like his because they were slightly different colors. It's horrible.
Yeah, I was not impressed with the build quality.
Yeah. If you had bought them separately, would you have even noticed? Did one of them look bad?
No, they didn't look bad. It just I pulled them out and I looked at them and I went, wow, they're like very different colors. It's weird.
Yeah, it did seem odd that they were.
They both look good though.
Were they like different size shirts that maybe they ran them into separate prints?
One was a large and one was a extra large, I believe.
Not that I'm trying to find out what size shirt you wear, so people can body shame you.
So I had gotten myself one, and I had gotten Dustin the extra large because he's fat. I mean, I got Dustin the other one.
Very nice.
Did you ever get your shirt?
You sent it?
Somebody that you've been supposedly going to meet for lunch several times has your shirt, and I believe that you've never met for lunch.
Since then, no.
Yes.
I had a baby since then.
So. Yeah.
No. Don't.
It's been like
don't say
2 months.
Don't say you had a baby, Dustin, because your wife will get angry. I know you're new to this, but your wife had a baby. You're just supporting her.
Nope. We had a baby as a technical. We had a baby. See, there's
okay.
Support.
Yeah, your role was about 5 seconds. So,
man, that's harsh.
Wow.
Harsh.
So how you seem to have a better memory for this than I do, Nate. How long ago did I receive those shirts?
That's like 6 months ago. No.
Okay. No, it's not quite that long.
It was after Christmas.
It was after Christmas.
We were on a podcast together.
Okay, so how many podcasts have I missed?
God, you think I keep track?
Two or three in a row, right? So that's well over a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jason, you're number one.
I rest my case. So yeah. So for well over a month now, somebody's been trying to get a hold of you to both go to lunch and give you your T-shirt.
And then we're gonna have to coordinate and all wear our T-shirts on the same night and record a podcast.
That would be nice.
Have you seen my T-shirt collection? Do you have any clue how hard it would be to find that T-shirt?
You'd be like, where the heck? You've probably only worn it twice since then. If that. Once. Yeah, I actually, unlike you, I cull my T-shirt selection every so often. I know you think that's sacrilege.
My T-shirts haven't worn out to the point where I need to.
No, I will remove T-shirts that I do not selectively wear.
To make room for others. I do the same.
Not just to make room, but to actually consolidate, because I don't want a mountain of T-shirts in the corner of my bedroom, like Jason probably has.
My T-shirt collection, when folded and laid on top of each other, is probably 2 feet taller than I am.
Yeah, that's.
I don't see the problem.
Well, I mean, you could be addicted to worse things.
Y'all are just jealous I have too many T-shirts.
Maybe a little.
Right. So anyway, yeah. I think DC 610 is coming up, isn't it? What's the next meetup? Is it 2 weeks from
July 4th. Except I'm thinking that we're probably not going to do it on July 4th.
Seriously, it's on the 4th?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I'm thinking we're probably not doing it on the 4th.
No? You got something planned?
Maybe. Just maybe. In fact, I think there was talk about not doing it on the 4th, so maybe the week after.
Yeah, most likely.
So, yeah. That'll be... I guess we're going to record another podcast between now and then.
A bunch of drunk hackers on July 4th in a bar with lots of combustibles.
That would probably be bad.
That would be awesome.
We should record Iron Sysadmin from the meetup sometime. Of course, we'd have to get Dustin to actually come down for it.
I'd come down. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yes, it has.
It's been too long.
Man, so a mutual friend has sent me an awesome link to an awesome Raspberry Pi product. I don't know if you remember, Jason, but when we built the first Derby, Rich was all about putting an e-paper display on it because of the power consumption requirements.
Story.
Is there an e-paper display for them now?
Yes.
Nice.
And it's cheap, like $30.
And
That's
that
not
link
bad.
is not sitting in Slack right now because
I
why?
will get it for you right now. It's not big. It's like the same size as the
Size
OLEDs
doesn't
that
matter.
we used last year.
That's
Size
fine.
doesn't matter.
Right? Size doesn't matter.
Are you looking for like reaffirmation here?
Wow, it bust dust tonight.
Right,
Holy
guys.
crap.
Right, it doesn't matter, right?
Jeez.
You're just setting yourself up here, man. I mean,
You're real eager about it,
I don't know what to do about that.
man. Nice guys.
Yeah, I can't win tonight, man. No wonder I don't like to be on here when both of you guys are here. Jeez. Oh, they're both on? Yeah, I'm busy tonight. See you later.
Sorry, I can't get it. I will send you a link. I'm working on getting it right now. I gotta search my inbox for Rich's email. Oh my god, what is wrong with the search window? Anyway, yeah, it's how was it called? The Inky P hat.
What?
Inky P hat, like for pie
Inky
hat.
I suspect somebody's having bandwidth issues.
What, me? Are you?
Yep.
But Dustin continues to move and speak without turning into a robotic voice. So, gonna go out on a limb and say that it's you, Nate.
It is you. Hey.
Yeah. Am I looking any better yet?
Well, you're still a little
Invalid
blocky,
query.
but, at least I can hear you now.
Oh well, that's handy.
Audio
I
test
am-
complete.
I am pasting a link into Slack right now. In fact, I will paste it into the Iron Sysadmin Slack workspace in the general channel. So anyone who's interested needs to join.
Terrific.
Terrific. Have I improved? Can you hear me better now?
Oh yeah, I can hear you much better.
Quality increased 35%.
So yeah, this thing is pretty awesome.
Nice.
Here, let me see if
According to the link that you sent, it's a low energy, highfalutin e-paper
Highfalutin.
display.
Highfalutin. Are they from the Midwest?
Ooh, and it does color too. Sort of.
That's cool.
Red, black,
I'll
and
take
white.
it. They look pretty red.
so.
It's
Let me see if
22
I can, like,
backwards L's with an F on it.
What? Awesome.
It's 22 backward L's with an F on it. I don't. What was the?
Is that cryptocurrency?
I don't know.
Let me see. Here we go. I don't know if this is gonna work. Why can't I share one screen? Application window. Here. I'm gonna share this screen with you. At least I think I am. Like do the thing. Do the share the screen thing. Are you guys seeing a screen? Oh, here it is. Share.
There's no turning back.
So you guys seeing the pictures I have here?
Inky
Nope.
fat. Yeah. Well, if Dustin would stop talking.
Yeah.
don't see
So you don't see it?
Oh, I see it.
Why the heck not? So these are some pictures that I took of the thing when I unboxed it. So the thing that's really cool is because it's e-paper, they wrote a graphic to it and then shipped it.
That's cool.
So it's like it arrived just like you're seeing in the video. So
Way to make it really awesome.
It's awesome, right? So it's a 3-color e-paper display. Well, I guess you could call it 2-color because one color is the background. White, pink, pinkish red or whatever, and black. So it's pretty cool. I mean, I can't wait to start playing with the thing. And the awesome part is that it's a Pi hat. So you just literally plug it onto the GPIO pins and set up the library and you're ready to go. There's no soldering. There's no like pinouts. It's just, I mean, pretty cool.
It was really cool. Pretty rad.
Yep. So yeah, I'm going to desolder the. I'm going to use last year's hat again this year for DerbyCon, and I'm going to take off the OLED display, and I'm going to just put this hat on top of the Pi because it was mounted externally on last year's hat. And then that's going to be this year's hat.
Sweet.
Pretty cool stuff.
You're going to have somebody write you a library too, aren't you?
That was already a library.
They're supposed to already. I mean, it's a freaking pie hat. There better be a library already.
Get the joke now.
I don't know. Dustin's digging for something. What's he got
So
going?
my
Something's
palette
coming out.
my palate has become my palate has become accustomed to the ruination.
I'm trying to find my other high zeros.
Now I can drink it without wincing.
It's a delicious beer.
It is. I mean, it's not bad once you get past the first couple sips.
Oh, it's a wonderful beer.
So
That's what she said.
I think we've successfully transitioned into the chat section of the show, folks.
I think we've done that the entire show.
Yeah, right. It's really been the usual train wreck.
Indeed. That's okay.
I went for a run on Monday, and man, am I sore. That sounds like a joke, doesn't it?
Oh.
I just flew in from Boston, and boy, are my arms tired.
Oh, man. Wow. Yep.
So
we go.
you were hunting for something, and then you came back as though we would forget you were hunting for something that you didn't find.
Uh-huh.
Oh, a pie. That's all you were hunting for?
Yeah. I have a drawer full of crap now. So I was making sure it was still there. It's a Pi Zero W back when they were hard to get. I bought like a couple of them.
If we're just going to show random pieces of hardware, here.
Oh, I have something sad to say.
I got a phone.
Nate, were we on a podcast together when I broke this?
Yes, we were. That was the last episode of Iron System. Look, I've got an SD card.
It's broken. I've had it for 10 years. It was made in 2008. It was reliable. And
man, if you want to talk about old hardware, I can dig out stuff that came from the 90s.
Running in the 90s.
Like,
Uh-oh.
He's got
From
Rick.
grandfather. Where's I can't even. Oh, here he is. Aha!
This is called Off the Rails, people.
Yes.
I mean, I've got a wooden broadhead, or a wooden broadhead. I mean, like,
Just
the broadhead isn't wooden.
I have a helicopter.
If a helicopter. That's the same helicopter you've had for all those years.
I have a Jimmy Lewis CD.
How about
what other stupid thing could I put in front of the...
I have my USB missile launcher.
I recommend track 2 on this album. No Chicken Wings. Jimmy Lewis.
Stargate SG-1 Season 4 Disc 2.
I have a pig.
Okay, I think. Oh, that's the chocolate pig.
That's the chocolate flying pig.
This is fine. All right, so
this is fine.
This is fine.
That chocolate pig is like 6 years old now.
You should eat it.
Yeah, I think we've officially.
No. What in it?
Is that supposed to be a representation of the planet, Dustin?
Yes, made out of different minerals.
Interesting.
It's called Death Space. It was a Kickstarter.
So either we need to get the show back on the rails, or we need to transition to the main topic. So, does anyone have anything useful to talk about?
We're going to start showing things off. I've got a cabinet. Be here for days.
I have hearkening back to our previous discussion, my gun cabinet is behind us.
Ooh,
okay. So
if you want to know where I stand on the Second Amendment, I can start going through it.
Maybe we'll have a.
Are you trying to threaten me?
Exactly.
Yes.
Because you can't just own a firearm without threatening somebody else, right?
Yes.
I have some deer antlers and a Rubik's Cube.
I have a Rubik's Cube too.
And oh wait, I showed this to you, Dustin, on the last podcast, but Jason did not. I want to see how he reacts.
Oh yes, this is awesome.
I'm going to be careful to unfold it.
Holy shit! It's signed.
Yes, yes, it's signed.
Where the hell did you get that?
This came with my copy of Ultimate Doom from the 90s.
Isn't that awesome, Jay?
So what's the combination to your gun type? Because
I
one.
I found this in a bin of stuff from my old bedroom when I lived with my parents. I'm going to get it framed now that I found it.
I hate you.
For now, it's going to sit up here. There we go. I'd been looking for it a couple years ago because I was going to frame it and hang it in my old office down in, their old office that was still on campus when I still had wall space. And I could never find it, and I was really bummed. And then I just happened to cross it while we were cleaning up here for when my brother-in-law moved in, and I was very happy to have found it.
I can get one on eBay for $10.28.
Oh, really?
Hey,
Apparently.
guys, you know how I was talking about Captain Kirk's birthplace?
Did you get it wrong?
No, I just got a memories thing from photos, which I use for photo storage, of July 2012 when I was in Riverside, Iowa. That's kind of weird.
That's
I don't know
because
if you heard
Siri's
the ding that
listening
went
to
off
you.
before.
Google is listening to you. That's why.
That's weird.
I'm going to get ads for the Inky P hat tomorrow. Or right now. Could happen for any moment.
Here, I have something lovely for you. I don't know if this is going to work. Nope. Oh, well.
I don't know what on earth you're trying to do. So anyway, we just got off an engagement with Red Hat, which was fun the last 2 weeks. We had started it the day that we recorded the last episode of the podcast. And we finished it this past Friday. It was 2 weeks long.
Wow.
We had them come in and help us upgrade our Red Hat Enterprise virtualization environment. It's kind of fun.
Very nice.
Though, as usual, 2
After
weeks
you
is
blew it
never...
up?
Yeah, after I blew it up. Well, so, yeah. Part of it was... So we were on Rev 3.6, which is out of support. And the move to 4 is a little more than just point release update. No?
You can't just do RPM upgrade?
No, it's like yeah, that Rel 6 Rev Manager you have, that thing has to be destroyed and you have to build a new one. So we decided to have we had purchased consulting units to help us get out of the trouble that we were in when I broke the Rev Manager.
Units, are they like Autobots?
No. They're basically the pre-priced consulting time.
I was kidding.
Okay.
Was that the Red Hat guy that was at the DC 610 meeting?
Yes, you met him.
Yes, I did.
I forgot you were there. Yeah.
Thanks. Forgotten again. As usual.
Listen, you never make it to the meetups. I forgot you were there.
Yeah, I was there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
I
yes,
would be offended if you said I forgot, Nate.
that's why he was there.
there.
So anyway, I mean, part of it was because we wanted to figure out what the best way to run our Rev Manager was, because it's kind of a single point of failure. The way Red Hat has designed, or I should say, the way the overt project has designed their virtualization infrastructure. The manager is still sort of a single point of failure. The way they solve that is actually by running the manager as a VM on your cluster.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. But
which came first, the cluster or the manager?
Exactly. This is my You went to the same place I did. You went to the exact same place I did. So if a VM on my cluster manages my cluster, what happens when my cluster's in a bad state?
I don't know. You should ask the Red Hat guy. He was there.
Yeah, right. So they this is like the preferred way to run the manager nowadays. So I'm sort of putting my faith in them. But I have to say that it really doesn't give me a good feeling. It's working, but I don't know. I mean, maybe I just need to build up a comfort level with it. There's ways to manage the thing outside of the manager itself, which, of course, I mean, that's sort of a prerequisite. If there wasn't, then this never would have worked. But, yeah, the whole thing has me, I don't know, a little leery. So,
what could possibly go wrong?
So anyway, that's what I've been going on. That's what I've had going on lately. It's been a busy couple of weeks. Because, of course, as usual, we had 2 weeks of consulting time. We ran out of time. So we didn't get everything done. We had a rush at the end, and you know how that goes.
They didn't just offer to sell you more consulting time? That's weird.
Well, we probably could have bought more consulting time, but that really wasn't like what we wanted to do. So, I mean, we got to a point where I can pick up, and that's what I've done. So it's just a matter of learning how to deal with this hosted engine now, which is sort of a learning curve at the moment. Otherwise, it's just business as usual. Update hypervisors, update managers, that sort of thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys have anything cool going on, or should we move along into our main topic, which is DevOps tonight?
Oh, I did have something for tonight, and I don't remember.
I have lots of cool stuff going on. I can't talk about any of it.
You always say that.
Such a tease.
You need to find some cool
so,
stuff
yeah.
to do that you can talk about.
Well, given my job, it's tough.
I don't know what those things could be, but you need to find some.
Yeah, I know.
I'm installing Overt for my home lab in the hopes of creating an OpenStack
Wow.
infrastructure.
I convinced you to install Overt just
Yes.
since the beginning of the podcast.
Yes, I was going to use Proxmox, and then I said, wow, this is way better.
I don't know if it's better. I've never looked at Proxmox. I can say that we've been using Rev, which is based on Overt, since like 2014.
The fact that you are using it in production speaks a lot louder than somebody saying, oh, we use this in production. So I'm more than willing to give it a shot.
It's had its bumps, but it has definitely matured over the years. And it's a pretty good product.
Cool.
And for what you're doing, you could run an all-in-one host with the manager and everything hosted all in one, and it works pretty well.
I may get my hands on additional hardware, so I might add like another to the cluster. Have two managers?
Yeah, I mean, well, no, what it does is it runs the manager as a VM in your cluster, so you can migrate the manager between the two hosts.
Basically like VMware.
Yeah, but I mean, for a home lab, that's not as important, right? Like, sure, if you have one of your hosts down, you want the other one to be able to run the manager, I suppose, but it's not like hyper sensitive to downtime, so.
Just basically abandoned the hosts are unmanageable, but they're still on, kind of like ESXi without a manager, right?
Oh yeah. So I mean, during the failure that I caused with our Rev infrastructure back in February, we still have two clusters running that don't have a manager, and there's still VMs running on them.
Nice. That's okay.
They're not like important production VMs that haven't been cleaned up yet. They're VMs that have to go away that haven't yet. That's all there is to it. But yeah, they're still running and they're still doing their thing. They'll probably die tomorrow now that I said it, but yeah.
They won't. Everything will be fine.
Everything will be fine.
I think my next project is rebuilding my server because that has to move. So
yeah, the guy that colos your server is going to stop coloing servers one of these days.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that guy. He's a jerk.
He's a jerk.
There's this product called Ansley.
Yeah.
Or Ansel or
Ansel.
I don't know.
Ansible
Something about
Ansel?
ants. ANTSLE. It's pretty
Ansel?
slick. Yeah.
Ansel?
It's like a server that you can buy it does Docker and VMs, and they have their own OS and all sorts of stuff.
Does she have a sister named Gretel? Oh wait, no. Does she have a brother named Gretel?
It's horribly overpriced.
So the storage, right, is like horribly overpriced. Isn't that the thing we were looking at a while ago?
Yeah. Well, the storage is SSD. The storage is everything's overpriced on it.
Welcome to IT. Everything's horribly overpriced.
So I identified the products that they use because they were kind enough to just post that information, and I could build it for like a quarter of the price. So I'm just gonna build one myself.
It's simple. If you're gonna pay for a solution, expect to pay for it. If you're gonna build a solution, it'll be cheaper.
I don't. Yeah, I'm torn because I like the flexibility of being able to do whatever I want to do on my machine, and not pay out the ass because I wanted to do something different, and sort of mess around with what I had. I could go to AWS pretty easily. I mean, I moved my DNS to AWS because it's brain dead simple and it cost me like $1 a month.
Yeah.
But if I move a server there, to do what I'm doing is probably going to be, because it's a full-time server, it's probably going to be like $200 a month, which is a little high. If I build my own server, that would work for me. I mean, I could use the existing server, although it's I think it's somewhere north of 10 years old now. And it's a little loud.
It's noisy. Did I tell you it's noisy?
Yeah.
I can almost hear it from the attic here.
The ANSI servers are they're fanless. They make no noise. So I'm thinking I build one of those. I put it in a slightly larger case so I can put the disk in it that I want, and I just throw it up on a shelf, and it sits here in my office.
Cool.
Nice.
So that's my plan.
That'd be cool. I
just gotta generate cash.
Always.
Turns out these things cost money. It's weird.
Well, you just bought that chair. I mean, you could just sell the chair to
chair. I bought this chair last year, and I'm not selling the chair. I love my chair. Not like you fancy people that got these things for free.
Dude, I don't have one. I don't have one at my house for free. I have looked like a Walmart special chair at my house.
I have one of these chairs in my office. This is my office. This is where I work. You have one in your office where you work.
Yep.
Indeed.
I almost want to take mine from my home office to my now office, but I feel like I'd be that guy that brings his own chair, and I don't want to be that guy.
I'm just going to go ahead and say I've never met a person who brought their own chair to the office. So.
That's the thing. I don't want to be that guy.
I worked in an office where like none of the chairs matched, and the chair I was in was like this rickety little like cheap ass armless chair. I've been there.
I haven't had a chair that was very crooked that I actually sat on a book until they ordered me a new chair at one place.
You like sat crooked. On a book.
Yeah, I had like put it under one cheek to kind of level me out. If my wallet had enough like ones in it, and I don't typically carry cash, it kind of like evened my back out a little bit.
So you could tell when he was going to the strip club because he sat up straight.
Yeah, right. Dustin's not saying he must be having a good night tonight.
Oh man.
Poor Dustin. All right, so should we get on to the main topic, or do you guys have something interesting to talk about before
everyone topic. Just turns How off many the hours podcast? Have we been at this now? Do we have a topic?
1 hour, 21 minutes. So, yeah, we're just going to go ahead.
All right, topic. And go. Tonight's topic is music.
And Jason's feeling the delirium.
Do I have to start muting you during the transition music too?
Yes.
All right, so back. I can't remember what episode it was, but well, you said something.
It's been too long.
Back sometime in the early episodes of this podcast, we talked about DevOps, and I feel like we didn't do the topic justice. Since then, I've learned it. I've read this project, which is some people refer to as like the DevOps handbook or Bible. I think Jason has done the same since then.
And I read the original book.
You finished that now too?
Yeah, the one that actually inspired Phoenix Project.
Yeah. Not of it either. You read the book and can't remember it. Dustin, have you finished the Phoenix Project? You said you're on.
No, I have not finished the book. I suck.
Of course not.
I have like 6 open books right now, and I haven't chose to finish any of them.
How far are you?
Probably halfway.
Well, like chapter 2. It's not that long of a book. Either, man, I can't read any book. I'm terrible. I mean, I've said this. I read really slow. I usually do things on an audiobook, and I actually read the Phoenix Project as an ebook.
Dustin has problems reading Audible books too. So
really,
we don't. Man,
generally when I start listening to a book, I can't put it down. I listen to it all the time. Anyway, so I feel like the Phoenix Project has given me a better understanding of what the heck DevOps really is. For a long time, I couldn't quite wrap my head around it, and mainly that's because I think I'm not exposed to it in current role. I don't know how to describe it. I'm not actively DevOpsing, if you know what I mean. I don't work at a company that's embraced DevOps. I don't work with a bunch of developers who are developing custom application. But we do have a web team. They do some development, and they also deploy web applications, which maybe they're not writing the code, but they're importing, reviewing code and whatnot, and then deploying it into production. And it has to be done in a way that's reliable and repeatable. So all these things sort of apply to may applications in sort of ops style of deployments, which would be described as continuous integration or continuous delivery. So the project really it sort of helped us with a little more content. I don't know how the Phoenix project was loosely based on also maybe helped solidify that for you, Jason. Can you speak to that at all? Like, did it really help form that better in your mind?
The book itself, I mean, it helped. It's helping more now that this is a thing that I do at work.
Yeah.
And it, the so what you have to sort of be clear on is that there's almost two different things that we're talking about here. You've got the DevOps piece of it, and then you've got Agile.
Right.
DevOps is sort of the agile way of doing IT operations. So it sort of fits hand in hand, but it you kind of have to go through it more than once. And the Phoenix project was pretty good, and I think I put both the links to Phoenix project and the goal in
The goal.
in the
There you
chat.
go. Yes, I see.
So the goal was a book that was written a while ago, apparently over 30 years ago.
Yeah, the goal
And
had to do with
manufacturing.
manufacturing. It had to do with Toyota, correct? Was it Toyota?
Sort of. The goal was an abstract. It was.
Right.
It's written very similar to the Phoenix Project, where it's a story. And
Right.
the goal is based on the lean principles of manufacturing that sort of Toyota made famous.
Right.
And it there's a lot of information in the goal that made what I learned in the Phoenix Project a little bit more understandable. So the idea of because you have so when you're dealing with manufacturing, you're dealing with physical goods, right? So you have a manufacturing floor where you're building widgets. And in order to build widgets, you have like 10 sub pieces of the widget that have to be built.
Right.
And they all get built at different speeds. And the idea behind sort of this lean manufacturing or agile process is that when you build the widgets and you're going end to end, first of all, inventory is something you don't want because if you have inventory, it's expensive and you're not selling it. Yeah, Dustin should know a lot about this at the moment. And in order to reduce inventory, you basically have to build in such a way that from end to end, you're moving as fast as possible without building up inventory in between. And you find out that there's constraints in the system. So you have a piece of the widget that takes 2 hours to build versus 10 minutes for the other pieces. And the fastest that you can go end to end is the speed of the slowest piece.
Right.
And then if you want to speed that up, you have to kind of scale out the slow piece.
Or improve the process or whatever.
Right. And what happened, what I found was that after going through that book and understanding that from a physical realm, it sort of led to understanding Phoenix Project a little bit better because you have the same thing in software, but because there's no pile of parts sitting there, you don't see it. So you don't see your inventory.
Yes. That was very, very evident in the book, the Phoenix Project.
Right.
They actually call attention to it directly.
Yes. Yeah, because you have to. And there's a lot of different ways to sort of make that visible. I don't know if I like any of the ways that I've seen so far, but I can think of it directly and understand what it is and know where to look to find that information, as opposed to having sticky notes all over my wall.
Right.
But there's a lot of different ways to handle it. And the other bit is that is sort of counterintuitive to the whole process, is that making sure that you are always working doesn't actually lead to you being able to do more. So they sort of build in this ability to have rest periods where you're not like hardcore coding like a maniac, and it actually increases throughput of the whole system. So
yeah, right. Well, your brain needs a break every so often.
Yeah, there's that. There's some other stuff that sort of explains how it works. And the goal sort of brought some of that to the forefront with some of the examples that they used that I thought were a little bit better than what was in the Phoenix Project. Overall, I'd recommend reading both books. And then there's another book. Actually, one of the people in the chat mentioned it, called Beyond the Phoenix Project. But I've been hearing a lot of good things. I haven't read it yet, but I've been hearing a lot of good things about it. My current reading list is a little long. I'm actively reading like 3 different books now.
It always is, but you read fast enough that you can get through that.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm reading a book about politics. I'm listening to an audiobook about what appears to be a fantasy story. However, I'm pretty sure it's a sci-fi story. And then I just started a new story about cybersecurity. So,
about cybersecurity.
Yeah, I have 3 different formats for 3 different areas that I tend to read in. So
sure. So the term DevOps came to me, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. Our boss, Jason, and I at the time had come back from a conference or something, and he was talking all about DevOps and how this is like some new awesome way of doing things, agile and DevOps. And like many terms that come up in IT, sort of like cloud 10 years ago, it was difficult to really define without more context. And the Phoenix Project really gave that context to me finally, after all these years of hearing DevOps and how this will improve your workflows and this will, make your life so much better. Phoenix Project really helped to show what it was to transform an organization from a standard IT shop into something that's a little more agile, right? So anybody who's still having trouble grasping it, I would recommend you go get this book and read it, and maybe read some of the other books we've talked about, mainly because it's really helped me figure out what it is that this DevOps movement actually is, right? And I thought we'd talk at least a little bit about what those things are to sort of help define it for people who maybe aren't on board yet, right? So to me, and Jason, you're maybe a little more close to the subject because you're actually in the muck, if you want to say that.
Yeah.
Where we're at the college, we're sort of starting our journey into what might be a more agile or DevOps style environment, and it's not even for everything, right? So we're the sort of IT shop where we have a lot of things to deal with, from traditional workloads to workloads that might lend themselves better to cloud sort of infrastructure, and not all of those things are going to be well suited for a DevOps culture. But things like those web applications that I talked about probably are. Maybe a few other areas. So yeah, I thought I would just sort of, I don't know, try to define some of what this thing is to anyone who doesn't already have a good grasp on it, because it took me a while to figure, and I'm still learning, to be honest, what it is that someone's talking about when they say DevOps. And it's more than just some technology, right? And I think that's what made it so hard to grasp. You can't just go like, I've got DevOps, right? There's not a tool that you deploy. It's not like, oh, I've got Jenkins now, I've got DevOps.
Yes, that's the thing.
So it's not quite.
DevOps is a concept. It's not a technology.
Right.
Correct.
Right. It's not that simple. There is technology that supports DevOps DevOps is not a blinky box that you can just install in your environment and all of a sudden everything is better. DevOps is more than just automation. It's more than just unit tests. It's more than just the number of times I've heard DevOps spoken almost synonymously with the adoption of containers. I mean, it's almost maddening, right?
So,
I don't know
yeah,
if anybody else has had that experience.
no, it's a very good mechanism to
We use
lead to the
Docker, we're
ability to do
DevOps.
things, but yeah.
Right. So like Docker is another thing, or containers in general. It's just another thing that facilitates a DevOps culture. It's really more about a culture within your organization, or within your IT organization at least, and not just a thing that you start doing. Right. It's not a thing that you can just overnight say we're DevOpsing. Right. So I don't know if that really helps to define it to anybody else, because what I'm trying to do here is try to steer people in a direction where they can find the answers that it took me so long to find.
Okay, I would read. You got to read stuff.
Yeah.
There's we put 2 of the books into the chat. There's more out there. I think the more that you try to understand and the more you read and kind of get what's going on, the more it's going to help you. Yes, Docker can be a part of it,
Right.
but it doesn't have to be. You could be DevOps and do scripted VMs in AWS, or even on your own architecture using like OpenStack or God help you, VMware. It's possible to do it. DevOps is sort of this again, it's a concept. So agile in itself is the idea is to take small chunks of something and continue iterating on those small chunks,
right,
to build something larger, right? So
it's
it's
not just the small chunks. It's the small chunks, and granting your developers or whoever it is that controls the chunks the ability to deploy those quickly and easily, which is where
right.
automation comes in. So automation, containers, things like that, that's all a piece of how to do this. But without buy-in, from your developers, from your operations folks, from even management to some extension, or to some extent, you're not going to get this. Like you're, I don't know how to describe it, and this is why I think I had such trouble figuring out to begin with. There's a lot of pieces in play, is what I'm getting at. It's not just like a developer says we're DevOpsing now, right?
Right. So part of it is allowing the developers to iterate quicker because they can push a button or deploy things on their own and see how the code is working. Part of it is developers not building the entire application top to bottom and making it perfect before it goes out the door. Part of it is the interaction between the developers and other functional groups within the company, whether that's the infrastructure people or the sysadmins or the security people, etc., making sure that you're one team that's all working towards the same goal. So Agile itself makes use of this thing called a scrum, which is a term from rugby, and it essentially means moving the ball forward. It's not necessarily winning. It's everybody getting together and working together to move that ball forward. And
Right.
eventually, if you can, yeah, well, but it's working as a team.
Yeah.
Right.
But
so,
you can work as a team separately. I think the scrums, based from the experience I had with you, they're really beneficial just to all be able to talk about the same.
Right. But
issues.
you're working on the same chunk of whatever it is you're building. right? So if you're building a specific feature, everybody on that team is working on the same feature. You don't have teams of 10 people working on 10 different features.
No.
You're all working
could.
on the same thing, trying to move. You could, but then you're not working together at that point, right?
No.
The idea is to work together and move that down and get that complete. And the better you do that, eventually you'll be able to do multiple things at the same time, because not everybody on the team can work on the same thing at the same time. But the better you can sort of work together to do that, the faster you'll be able to iterate on these things and develop whatever it is you're developing. And that goes for code as well as building infrastructure and all the other things that you do within a company.
And
Makes
Jason's
sense.
choking to death. So, yeah, I don't know if this is just sort of rehashing things that people have already figured out. I get maybe I'm a late adopter to the DevOps thing.
Maybe. I think a lot of people are.
Yeah, so I don't know. I had the same problem figuring out what the hell the cloud was, 10 years ago, when the cloud was just this buzzword that everyone threw around, sort of like DevOps is today. But nobody really could tell you what the cloud was. And it made way to all of these funny jokes about how the cloud is just someone else's computer and yada, yada, yada. And serverless is sort of the same concept, where it's like, well, your stuff is still on a server. It's just you don't see it, right? But, like anything, eventually you figure out what it is that they are. And I think that I'm getting closer to figuring out what the hell DevOps really means. And I was hoping that our viewers could learn something from this discussion tonight. Jason, you've been pretty helpful with that, because I think you're a little closer to the subject than some of us are. I don't know, Dustin, if you do anything DevOpsy at your new role.
No.
No?
I did have a taste of it from a previous role. But yeah, it's a pretty traditional environment. I'm hoping to bring some elements in, but there's definitely a wall of challenges to overcome first.
Yeah, so the author of the Phoenix Project seemed pretty optimistic that this is like the new computing revolution, because it's really going to change the way things work. And Jason, you were talking about everyone being on the same page and being part of a team and all moving toward the same goal. And I really think that's a big part of it, right? IT thus far has been this like tacked on piece of the business, where we've got to have computers, we've got to have a website, we've got to have, technology foo, right? And we got to have IT people to make that happen. Or at least up until recently, you had to have technology people to make that happen. Now you can buy a software as a service solution, and some of that goes away for you. But you still need IT people to make some of it work. Maybe they're not of the same caliber as, or of the same focus, perhaps. You don't necessarily need the server guy anymore. You just need a guy who knows how to run Salesforce, for example, right? To make that CRM work for you.
Let's not talk about CRMs. Oh my god.
Okay, I'll try not to. I'll try not to. Okay. So
PTSD and scar tissue going on.
You don't need a mail admin anymore, but you need a guy who understands how to manage G Suite. How's that?
Okay.
or Exchange Online or something like that. But IT is slowly but surely becoming more and more ingrained in business, right? So without an IT department, you can't necessarily have a website, at least not a good website. You could pay someone to make you a website and then you could never update it again. Or you could pay someone to make you a website and then it gets broken into because they based it on WordPress and no one's ever updating it, right? But without an IT department who's conscious of your business goals, you can't have a good website. You can't have a good IT workflow to really help your business. It's just like this tacked on thing. And a lot of people see IT that way still to this day. And the author of the Phoenix Project has really sort of, I think he envisions that DevOps is the way forward. Eventually, IT and DevOps won't be a new thing. It'll be the way IT is done. And I don't think I even realized that was sort of the way the industry is going, but it kind of is. Right? So
I think it has to.
yeah, I mean, IT needs to be more agile, and that's I mean that might sound buzzwordy, but it really does. If you look at it just for the face value of those words, IT can't be the thing that's holding your business back.
No.
IT can't be the people that are telling you, no, you can't do that. It's not secure, or no, you can't do that because the technology won't allow it. You have to be solving problems together to further the business.
Well, not only that, I mean, it's such a critical vein to the business anymore. I mean, it's not like an accessory like it used to be. Like, oh, hey,
Yeah.
we have this, we have that. We're not solely relying. No, that department is solely supporting the business. I mean, if you talk about downtime, you talk about,
Oh, right.
brand
Absolutely.
reputation, things like that. I mean, it's a vital role. So beyond DevOps, I mean, you also start to see, optimization of processes, and you talk about, oh my God, what's that IT library thing that's out there? Have you ever heard of it? ITIL.
Yeah.
Yeah, ITIL. Right.
ITIL.
Yeah, ITIL. Yep.
I'm sure Nate is familiar with ITIL.
Jason does
Yeah,
not have
are
fond
you?
memories of ITIL.
Why not? I mean, isn't
Longer
that the
story
goal?
that we're not going to talk about.
It's a story we're not going to talk about on the air.
All right, fair enough. I will look forward to it later then.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, ITIL and DevOps aren't necessarily at odds with each other. That was actually mentioned in the book as well.
Yep.
ITIL is sort of the way that things were evolving before DevOps came along, before Agile came along, and they
But
don't
arguably-
necessarily fight each other.
No.
Like they're not at odds, but they do sort of. They have to complement one another, and you have to do that intentionally.
That was going to be my point. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I don't have any ITIL experience, but from what I was reading up on some article, I don't know, it pointed me to this. I was reading into it. It's pretty interesting how they can kind of, I don't want to say parallel each other, but I don't know if maybe they do kind of parallel each other in a way. I mean, one supports the other, right? For the most part.
I don't know
about. You have to have a framework.
Maybe parallel.
I don't know. Hard to say.
So we're coming up on almost 2 hours, so we should probably try to wrap this up. We don't want to ramble about things that aren't all that useful. I will say that another resource that I used, there is a podcast also from Red Hat called Command Line Heroes.
You can't send them to another podcast.
Yeah, sorry. It was a good podcast. It's sort of, they release it in seasons, right? So it's not like a weekly podcast, but it's sort of a good, I don't know, it's almost like a story almost, but they talked about the history of computing a little bit. They talked about the history of Linux, because obviously Red Hat's a Linux company. But they also talked pretty heavily about Agile and DevOps, and it gave me a good history lesson as to where all this came from. It doesn't necessarily tell you how to do it or anything, which is one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it tonight, because I was hoping we could get a little deeper into what this really is, and not just conceptually, oh, DevOps is more agile and you're working as a team and you have scrums and you do these things. I wanted to get a little more in the weeds. I don't know if we accomplished that or not. Maybe we did.
I'm not sure if there was the right weeds. We were definitely in the weeds.
We're in the weeds. Yeah. So yeah, I'd recommend listen to that podcast. Red Hat's not paying me to say that.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a good podcast. I thought it was well done, and I thought it was a good story. And I also recommend the Phoenix Project, and it sounds like Jason is recommending The Goal, and also Matt from our Slack channel is recommending Beyond the Phoenix Project, which I have not heard or read yet, but I may look into that as well. So yeah, all pretty good resources. There were some good resources at the end of the Phoenix Project as well. There's like an index or so at the back that recommends a lot of other books that you can read. The Goal was one of those. Beyond the Phoenix Project, I think, was mentioned in there, but it wasn't complete at the time of the writing of the Phoenix Project, obviously. So yeah, that's there too.
Cool.
All good stuff. I hope you like reading.
Yeah,
Or
it seems like that's
I
the way to
guess.
learn this stuff. A lot of stuff in IT, it's like I attend a few conferences, I talk to a few people, and I grasp this thing. DevOps doesn't seem to be that, because I think DevOps adoption is one of those things that changes with the place that's adopting it. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing. The technologies may be. The technologies may be applicable across the board, but how you use them doesn't seem to be. And I think that's why it's this like nebulous thing.
Right.
So, yeah, go do your DevOps. Be profitable.
Be successful.
Be
Don't
successful.
worry, everybody screws up.
Everybody screws up. It's a good
One of the first DevOpsy things I ever did was screw up a
screw up.
We're experimenting with an orchestration solution, and etcd was Zookeeper came into play, and also etcd to support some of the things we were going to run. And it was etcd to run the infrastructure. Then there was etcd utilized for software-defined networking. Well, I was having an issue with data not proper, the config's not properly populating to this SDN. So I said, oh, I'll just delete it out of Zookeeper's config directory and won't have to worry about it. It's just the etcd directory. Well, I didn't go a level deep enough, so I deleted all of etcd, and I had to go back and fix that from the infrastructure layer. It was fun. Yeah,
Ouch.
Jason probably remembers this. Jason and I were working together. That bought me. Yeah, that was fun. Yep. That was cool. That was fun though, Jason. I mean, once we got BGP working, well, when you got BGP working, I mean, that was rad.
You broke BGP? Is that what you said?
No. We got BGP working.
Okay.
Long story short, BGP is sort of the key to making it all work together.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Software and physical layers together. It was neat.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we're going to try to call it a close before we hit the 2-hour mark. We're about 9 minutes away from that. So, and we have a little bit of a outro to get through as usual. So, yeah, I think we're going to close it up on DevOps. If you guys have any questions or whatever that we can try to help fill in, please let us know. Either hit us up on, the comments on YouTube, or send us an email at podcast@ironsysadmin.com. You can hit us up on Twitter. I'm at Gangriff. Jason, you want to give us your Twitter handle?
I'm at the Xenophage.
With a Z.
X with a no Z.
X with no Z. And Dustin?
Agent 66. 60 is the word.
And of course, right, 60. Wait, 66 isn't a whole word, isn't it?
No, it's the word 60 and then the
60.
6.
60 is a word, and the 6 is a number, man. You're like all kinds of confusing, man. What the heck?
Absolutely.
You can also hit the podcast up directly at Iron Sysadmin, as you'd expect. You can find us on Facebook, even though I think Facebook gets no love from us.
Only from you, Nate. You're dedicated.
I'm not that dedicated. Like, when I post to Twitter, it posts to Facebook, and it's an automated thing. I don't really, manage the Iron Sysadmin Facebook page actively. Sorry, guys. The Slack workspace I've mentioned a few times during the show tonight, and, of course, the YouTube channel. If you go subscribe and hit that bell, you'll know when we're going to go live, and you can chat with us. We had a couple chatters live tonight. Wow, it looks like I missed a couple of the chats. Yeah. We got Rob and Greenzilla and us. So, yeah. The more folks we can get in the chat, the more fun that is. So, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that's about all the ways that I can tell you to find us online. What? What did I miss?
One more.
Oh, the one that you literally set up during the show tonight. Dustin has apparently set up an Iron Sysadmin Keybase group, which I have no idea how to tell you to join.
We'll just search for it. It's an open group.
You make the keys and the bases.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think all three of us are on Keybase, right?
Yes.
Jason, are you on
Yeah.
Keybase?
Oh,
Yes,
look,
I
an
am.
Iron Sysadmin Keybase has appeared.
That's
You're
awesome.
welcome.
So Keybase is a neat little project. I don't know. We'll see where it goes, but it's pretty cool. It's evolved a little bit over time already. So, yeah, I think with that, we're going to call it a close. Like I said earlier, if you guys want to support us, you can do so through Patreon, ironsysadmin.com/Patreon. You can find all of our past, present, and, of course, future episodes on ironsysadmin.com, which is a WordPress site. Some people may may judge me for that, but whatever. It's an image.
I won't judge you, Nate. I think it's pretty rad.
I'm judging you.
You won't.
Totally judging you.
You're judging me. All right. I could put it on Drupal. That's where it was, I think. Anyway, yeah, if you support us on Patreon, it helps us buy beer and makes the show more interesting. And it pays for the Amazon S3 hosting for the podcast episodes, so you can download them quickly. So, yeah, I think with that, we're going to call it a night. Any final words from you guys?
Live long and prosper.
No.
Well,
No
Don't
words.
live long and prosper?
Bird.
Yeah.
Bird is the word.
Bird. Everybody knows that song. All right, folks. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for chatting with us on YouTube. You guys have a good night. Oh, that was fun, guys.
Indeed.
It was. One parting thought before this goes dark. Fuck Chrome.
Agreed.
You're having a good time with Chrome, aren't you?
Jason.
I cannot stand how ungodly chatty this fucking software is. I'm deleting
Jason.
it as soon as we're done with this.
You know what you should do? You should install Brave.
You're all about Brave tonight.
I am. I have a chub for it recently.
Wasn't that like a Disney movie?
Oh my God. Yes, it was. So with that, folks, we're going to stop the broadcast before we get ourselves in trouble. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And
we're still live.
We'll see you in 2 weeks. Good night,
I'm so
folks.
sorry. We're